I stood at the school gates as the last car pulled away, its red taillights disappearing into the November dusk. The security guard had already locked the main building. I wrapped my arms around myself, feeling the cold seep through my thin sweater. They forgot me, not for the first time, not even the second. I counted the minutes, then the hours. My phone stayed silent in my pocket. I didn't call. What would I say that I hadn't already said a dozen times before? They would apologize, rush over with that look of distracted guilt, and promise it wouldn't happen again. But it always did. My younger sister, Lily, never waited. They remembered her ballet recitals, her art shows, her parent-teacher conferences. They knew when her classes ended, what time she needed to be picked up from her tutoring sessions. Their calendar revolved around her schedule like planets around the sun. I was the forgotten satellite, drifting in the outer darkness. The temperature dropped. I watched my breath form small clouds in the air. Other students' parents had waved to me as they drove past, their cars full of warmth and conversation, and the promise of dinner waiting at home. I'd smiled and waved back, pretending I was waiting for someone who was just running late, not someone who had forgotten I existed. Around 5 o'clock, I watched the janitor turn off the lights in the building, one window at a time. The school became a dark silhouette against the darkening sky. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and stared at my mother's name. My thumb hovered over the call button. I didn't press it. What was the point? She would answer with that tone, surprised, apologetic, but slightly annoyed, as if my needing a ride was an inconvenience she hadn't planned for. She would say she was busy with Lily, that she'd lost track of time, that I should have reminded her, as if being her daughter wasn't reminder enough. My boyfriend Daniel texted me around 6. Can't talk tonight. Helping Lily with her art portfolio. She really needs the support right now. I stared at the message. Daniel, who I'd been dating for 2 years. Daniel, who I'd introduced to my family last Christmas. Daniel, who somehow spent more time with my sister than with me these days. I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, okay. He didn't even ask if I was home. Didn't wonder why I wasn't answering faster. Didn't care that I might need something too. The security guard returned at 7:30, surprised to find me still sitting on the concrete bench. Still here, miss? No one's coming? They're on their way, I lied, the word smooth and practiced. He looked doubtful but nodded. I'll stay until they arrive. Can't leave a student alone. Shame burned in my chest, hot and acidic. Even this stranger felt more responsibility for me than my own family. I watched cars pass on the street beyond the fence, each one full of people going home, people who had places to be and people waiting for them. I wondered what that felt like, to be expected, to be missed when you weren't there. My mother finally called at 8:15. Helena, where are you? Lily said you should have been home hours ago. Not an apology, not concern. Just confusion that I wasn't where I was supposed to be, like a misplaced object rather than a daughter. Still at school, I said quietly. You were supposed to pick me up at 4. A pause. Then, Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Your father and I took Lily to meet with that gallery owner about her exhibition, and it just completely slipped my mind. Can you take the bus? The buses stopped running an hour ago. Another pause, longer this time. I could hear Lily's laughter in the background, bright and carefree. My father's voice joined in, asking about dinner reservations. Well, call an Uber then. We're still at the gallery. This is such an important opportunity for Lily's future. I'll transfer money to your account right now. The call ended before I could respond. I sat there with the phone pressed to my ear long after the line went dead. The security guard was watching me with pity that made my skin crawl. They're not coming, are they? I shook my head. Come on, he said gently. I'll drive you home. Can't have you out here all night. The kindness of strangers. It was all I had. When I finally walked through the front door at 9:30, the house was warm and alive with noise. Lily was showing my parents sketches from her upcoming exhibition. Daniel was there too, sitting on our couch like he belonged there more than I did, laughing at something my sister said. No one looked up when I entered. I stood in the doorway of the living room, invisible. My mother finally noticed me. "Oh, Helena, you're home. Did you eat? There is leftover pizza in the kitchen." No apology, no acknowledgement that they'd abandoned me for nearly 6 hours. "I'm going to bed," I said. "Already?" Lily's voice was bright, thoughtless. "Daniel was just saying we should all watch a movie together. You should join us." I looked at Daniel. He met my eyes for a brief second before looking away. Uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to say anything, to choose me over the easy warmth of my family's attention on my sister. I climbed the stairs to my room and locked the door. The house continued its noise below me, laughter and conversation and the sound of the movie starting. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, and felt something inside me crack. Not break, that would have been too dramatic. Just a hairline fracture, one of many that had been forming over the years, each forgotten moment adding another line until there was more crack than wholeness. I should have been used to it by now. The forgotten birthdays, the missed recitals, the way conversations stopped including me. I'd learned to make myself small, to need less, to expect nothing. But tonight felt different. Tonight felt final. I picked up my phone and scrolled through old messages, unanswered texts to my mother about school events, one-word replies from my father. Daniel's recent messages were all about Lily. Could I ask Lily what she wanted for her birthday? Did I know Lily's favourite colour for the bouquet he was planning? Wasn't Lily so talented? When had I become the supporting character in my own life? I put the phone down and closed my eyes. Tomorrow I would try again. I would remind them I existed. I would ask Daniel why he was here for my family, but never for me. I would speak up, demand to be seen, refuse to disappear. But tonight I was so tired of fighting to be remembered by people who should have loved me automatically. The days blurred together after that. I stopped expecting pickups and started taking the bus. I stopped joining family dinners and ate alone in my room. I stopped texting Daniel first and watched our conversation history grow sparse and one-sided. No one noticed the absence, or if they did, they didn't mention it. Week after week passed in the same pattern. I would wake up, go to school, come home to an empty house, or a house full of people who didn't see me. I began staying late at the library, doing homework I'd already finished, reading books I didn't care about, just to delay the moment I'd have to return. My grades stayed perfect. My debate team performances were flawless, but no one came to watch anymore. The first few times I'd scanned the audience hopefully, then expectantly, then desperately. Finally, I stopped looking altogether. At Thanksgiving dinner, I sat at the table and counted how many times someone addressed me directly. 3 times in 2 hours. 2 of those were requests to pass the salt. Lily talked about her upcoming exhibition at a prestigious youth gallery. My parents beamed with pride. Daniel, invited as part of the family now, added enthusiastic comments about her artistic vision. They'd been spending so much time together lately, working on her portfolio. "How's school going, Helena?" my aunt asked, one of the few people who seemed to remember I existed. "Good," I said. "We won the state debate championship." "That's wonderful." She turned to my parents. "You must be so proud." My mother blinked, fork halfway to her mouth. "State championship? When was that?" 3 weeks ago, I said quietly. "Oh." She looked uncomfortable, glancing at my father. "Well, that's great, sweetheart. Congratulations. The conversation moved on immediately. Lily's exhibition, Daniel's college applications, my father's upcoming promotion. I pushed food around my plate and said nothing else for the rest of the meal. 2 months later, I stood on a street corner in the rain waiting for the bus. My umbrella had broken and I was soaked through, shivering. I watched cars pass, each one full of families, of people who had somewhere to go and someone waiting for them. My phone buzzed. My mother. Can you pick up Lily from her art class? Your father and I are stuck in traffic and she's waiting. Not, how are you? Not, are you safe? Just another request. Another way I could be useful without being seen. I stared at the message. Pick up Lily. Always Lily. Everything was always about Lily. I didn't respond. I watched the rain blur the text message into abstract shapes. The bus was late. Traffic was heavy. I stood there as the water soaked through my shoes, as the cold settled into my bones, as the world moved around me like I was a stone in a stream, unmoving, unnoticed, slowly worn down to nothing. My phone rang, my mother, calling now, probably annoyed that I hadn't answered her text fast enough. I let it ring. It rang again, then again. I watched the screen light up each time, my mother's photo smiling at me, and I felt nothing. Just a vast, empty nothing where feeling used to be. A text from Daniel. Hey, your mum asked me to get Lily, but I'm with friends. Can you go? She's been waiting for 20 minutes. Even my boyfriend was too busy for my family now, or rather, too busy for the part of my family that needed help now that Lily wasn't there to make it enjoyable. I stepped off the curb to cross the street, my vision blurred by rain and exhaustion and something deeper. A bone-tired weariness with existing in a world that refused to acknowledge my existence. I didn't see the car until it was too late. The screech of tires, the impact, the strange floating sensation as my body lifted and fell. Then I was lying on the wet pavement, rain falling on my face, and I couldn't move. People gathered around me, their voices distorted and distant. Someone was calling an ambulance. Someone else was crying. I stared up at the grey sky and felt strangely peaceful. My phone was still clutched in my hand, the screen cracked but still glowing with my mother's unanswered messages. This was it then. This was how I ended. Waiting in the rain, alone, forgotten even in my final moments. My vision began to dim at the edges. The pain fed, replaced by a heavy numbness. The voices around me grew softer, like they were moving away down a long tunnel. I thought about my family, warm and dry somewhere, probably annoyed that I hadn't picked up Lily. I thought about Daniel with his friends, relieved he didn't have to deal with family obligations. I thought about all the times I'd made myself smaller, quieter, less, trying to fit into the spaces they'd left for me. It was never enough. I was never enough. My last thought as the darkness closed in was that at least now they wouldn't have to remember to forget me. At least now I wouldn't be waiting anymore. The rain kept falling. My heart kept slowing, and somewhere far away, my phone began to ring with incoming calls I would never answer. I woke up to sunlight on my face and the sound of birds outside my window. For a long moment, I lay perfectly still, disoriented. Pain was gone. The cold was gone. I felt light, almost weightless, like I was floating in warm water. Then I opened my eyes and saw my bedroom ceiling. Not the ceiling of a hospital. Not the grey sky and rain. My bedroom ceiling with the water stain in the corner that had been there since I was 12, shaped like a butterfly. I sat up slowly. My body moved easily without pain. I looked down at my hands. No bruises. No blood. I touched my face, my arms, my legs. Whole. Unbroken. What was this? A dream? A coma hallucination? Then I saw my reflection in the mirror across from my bed, and my breath caught. I was younger, years younger. The girl staring back at me had softer features, brighter eyes, her hair was longer, styled the way I used to wear it in high school. No stress lines around her mouth, no shadows under her eyes from years of quiet suffering. I stumbled to the mirror, pressed my hands against the glass and stared. 15. I looked 15. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Not my phone, an older model, the one I'd had in 10th grade. I picked it up with trembling hands and checked the date. October 10th, 5 years ago. 5 years before the accident. 5 years before that rain-soaked corner and the car and the darkness. I sank onto my bed, mind reeling. This wasn't possible. Death didn't work like this. Time didn't move backwards, but I remembered everything. The accident, the years of being forgotten, the pain of invisibility, the cold rain and the failing light, and the absolute certainty that I was dying alone. I remembered it all with perfect clarity, like a scar that had healed but would never truly fade. I remembered the feeling of standing at those school gates for hours. I remembered the exact tone of my mother's voice when she'd forgotten me. I remembered Daniel's messages about Lily, the way my sister's laughter had filled the house while I sat alone in my room. I remembered every moment of slowly disappearing from my own life. And I remembered dying, the impact, the rain, the phone ringing with calls that came too late. A knock on my door made me jump. "Helena, breakfast is ready." My mother's voice, bright and normal, like she hadn't spent years barely noticing I existed. But she hadn't, not yet. This was before the slow erosion of her attention, before Lily's talents eclipsed everything else, before I learned to make myself invisible because being visible only meant disappointment. I stood up, walked to the door and opened it. My mother smiled at me. "There you are, come on, or it'll get cold." She turned and walked downstairs, humming. The same song she used to hum when I was small, before everything changed. I followed slowly, my mind racing. This was real. Somehow, impossibly, I'd been given another chance. Not to relive the same pain, not to wait and hope they would remember me this time, to rewrite it entirely, to make them wait, to make them feel what I felt. The kitchen was warm and bright. My father sat at the table reading the newspaper, the actual paper version. Lily, only 10 years old, was eating cereal and chattering about a school project. My mother was pouring coffee. They all looked up when I entered, their faces open and familiar. Before the distance, before the forgetting. "Morning, sweetheart," my father said, folding the paper. "Sleep well?" I stared at him. When was the last time he'd asked me that? When was the last time he'd looked directly at me when speaking? "Yes," I managed. I slept well. I sat down and my mother placed a plate in front of me. Pancakes, exactly the way I liked them. My favourite breakfast made without me having to ask. Because I was 15 again, and they still remembered what I liked. The knowledge settled over me like armour. This was my chance, not to fix our relationship, not to make them better, to make them understand, to make them suffer the way I suffered, to make them wait the way I waited. Over breakfast, I watched them carefully. Lily talked about her upcoming school art show, her first one. The one that would start everything, that would begin their obsession with her talents. In my previous life, I'd supported her quietly, helped her pick out frames, told her how proud I was. I'd made myself smaller so she could shine brighter. Not this time. "That sounds nice, Lily," I said when she finished talking. Then I turned to my parents. "I have a debate competition next week. Friday at 6, regional championships." They all looked at me with interest. "Oh, that's wonderful," my mother said. "When did you—" "I need you both there," I interrupted, my voice clear and firm. "It's important to me. Can you commit to that?" My father looked slightly taken aback by my directness, but he nodded. Of course, we'll be there. Put it in your calendar right now, I said. Both of you. I want to see you do it. My mother pulled out her phone, looking surprised but complying. Friday at 6, Helena's debate competition. She showed me the screen. High priority. See? Good, I said simply. In my previous life, they'd forgotten. They'd gone to Lily's art show that same night, double booked without realising. I'd stood on that stage scanning for them, and they'd never come. This time would be different. This time, I would make sure of it. School felt surreal. Walking through hallways I hadn't seen in years, surrounded by faces I'd almost forgotten. But I moved through it with purpose now, with the weight of future knowledge and past pain driving every decision. My best friend Jessica found me at lunch. Hey, want to sit together? In my previous life, I'd clung to Jessica, desperate for her friendship, afraid to lose the one person who seemed to see me. That desperation had eventually pushed her away. Sure, I said casually, but I can only stay for half of lunch. I have to talk to the debate coach about competition strategy. Oh, okay, that's cool. She seemed surprised by my confidence, my purpose. We ate together and I listened to her talk about her life, but I didn't overshare, didn't make myself too available, didn't act like I needed her validation. She seemed to respect me more for it. After school, my mother was waiting in the pickup line, on time, smiling. I got in the car and she started to drive. How was school? Fine, I said, looking out the window. Just fine? Want to tell me about your classes? Not really. I'm tired. She glanced at me, surprised by my short responses. In my previous life, I'd been so eager to talk to her, to share every detail, desperate for her attention. Now I knew better. Attention given too freely was attention taken for granted. The next few weeks, I began building the foundation of my new life. The life where I wasn't waiting for them. The life where they would wait for me. I joined more clubs, made more friends, stayed busy, always busy, so when my mother asked about my schedule, I could say, I'm not sure when I'll be home, I'll text you. And sometimes I would forget to text. Not maliciously, just genuinely busy with my own life. The first time I came home 2 hours late without calling, my mother was frantic. Helena, where were you? I was so worried. Debate practice ran late, I said calmly. I lost track of time. You should have called. I'm sorry, I forgot. The same word she'd said to me dozens of times. It just slipped out of my mind. She stared at me, frustrated and confused. But what could she say? I was being responsible, getting good grades, staying involved. I just wasn't prioritizing keeping them informed of my every move. The Friday of my debate competition arrived. I'd reminded them once, days ago, and then never mentioned it again. That afternoon, I got ready in silence. Jessica and a few other friends were coming to watch, but my family, I wasn't sure. I hadn't reminded them that morning, hadn't mentioned it at breakfast. Would they remember? I arrived at the venue early. Jessica and the others found me, wished me luck. I scanned the audience as it filled, looking for my parents, for Lily. They weren't there. 5 minutes before start time. No sign of them. 2 minutes before start time. Still nothing. Then, just as the moderator was taking the podium, I saw them rush in, my mother, my father, even Lily, looking frantic and worried. They'd almost forgotten. They'd almost missed it. My mother caught my eye and mouthed, "Sorry!" I looked away. I won that debate. Dominated it, actually. Years of practice from my previous life, combined with the fire of controlled anger, made me unstoppable. When they announced my name as the winner, the audience erupted. Jessica and my friends were screaming, and my parents, they were cheering too, pride written all over their faces. Afterward, my mother rushed up to hug me. "Helena, that was incredible. I'm so proud of you." "Thanks," I said, accepting the hug but not returning it with the same enthusiasm. I'm glad you made it on time. We almost didn't, my father admitted, looking embarrassed. We were helping Lily with the something and lost track of time, but we're here. Almost didn't come, I repeated quietly. That would have been unfortunate. My mother looked at me strangely, sensing something different in my tone, but not understanding what. Well, we're here now, she said. Let's go celebrate. Dinner anywhere you want. I already have plans, a sheikh, I said. Jessica and I are going out with the debate team. Oh. My mother looked disappointed. Maybe tomorrow then? Maybe, I said non-committally. I'll let you know. I walked away with Jessica, leaving them standing there confused. It had begun. Over the next months, I perfected my strategy. I became busier, more independent, more self-sufficient. I stopped asking them for rides and arranged my own transportation. I stopped expecting them at events and invited friends' parents instead. I stopped sharing my schedule in detail and became vague when they asked about my plans. Where are you going? Out? With whom? Friends? When will you be back? Not sure, don't wait up. At first, they seemed relieved. Their older daughter was independent, capable, not needy like some teenagers. It gave them more time to focus on Lily, whose artistic talents were beginning to blossom and demand more attention. But slowly, gradually, they began to notice my absence. I stopped coming to family dinners regularly. I ate already, I'd say, going straight to my room. I stopped joining family movie nights. I have homework, I'd say, even when I didn't. I stopped participating in weekend outings. I have plans with friends, I'd say, even when I was just reading alone in the park. I became a ghost in my own house. Present, but absent. There, but not there. And they started to miss me. Helena, you're never around anymore, my mother said one evening when I came home late from the library. I'm busy, I said simply. Too busy for your own family? I looked at her steadily. I'm doing exactly what you taught me to do. I'm not bothering you when you're busy with Lily. I'm taking care of myself. Isn't that what you wanted? She had no answer for that. My father tried a different approach. We're worried about you. You seem distant. I'm fine, I assured him. Just focused on school and my future. You're always saying how important that is. Yes, but... I learned from the best, I said softly. He frowned, not understanding the double meaning. During this time, Daniel appeared. The boy who, in my previous life, had become my boyfriend and eventually my betrayer. He asked me out within the first month of knowing him. I'd love to go out sometime, he said after class, charming smile in place. Maybe get coffee? I looked at him carefully, saw the easy charm, the surface-level interest, the way his eyes had lingered on a group of popular girls just moments before approaching me. No, thank you, I said. He looked stunned. No? Can I ask why? I don't think we're looking for the same things, I said honestly, but I'm sure you'll find someone who's a better match. I walked away, leaving him confused. 2 weeks later, I saw him laughing with Lily at a school art fair. She was only 10, but he was helping her carry her paintings, charming her the same way he'd tried to charm me. I watched, detached, as my mother and father thanked him profusely for helping. Watched as they invited him over for dinner. Watched as he seamlessly integrated himself into my family. But not through me. Never through me. He tried to talk to me at that dinner. Hey, Helena, your sister is really talented. Yes, she is, I agreed pleasantly. Maybe we could... Excuse me, I said, standing up. I have to meet someone. Enjoy your evening. I left them there, my family, Daniel, all together, and went to Jessica's house instead. My mother called me 3 times that evening. I didn't answer. When I came home late that night, she was waiting up. Where were you? Why didn't you answer your phone? I was at Jessica's. My phone was on silent. You missed dinner. Daniel was here, and I didn't miss anything, I said calmly. I wasn't invited. You invited Daniel to have dinner with Lily. I wasn't part of that equation. Of course you were part of it. You're part of this family. Am I? I asked quietly. The question hung in the air between us. What kind of question is that? She asked, hurt and confused. A genuine one, I said. Good night, Mom. I went to my room and closed the door, leaving her standing in the hallway. Time passed. I excelled at everything I did. Debate captain, honour roll, student council. I built a life so full, so rich, so independent, that my family saw me less and less. And they began to panic. It started with small things. My mother asking multiple times when I'd be home for dinner. My father trying to schedule father-daughter time. Lily complaining that I never hung out with her anymore. Helena seems so distant lately, I heard my mother tell my father one night when they thought I was asleep. She's just becoming independent, my father replied. Isn't that what we want? I suppose, but I feel like we barely know her anymore. She never talks to us. Maybe we should make more effort. I try, but she's always busy, always gone. I smiled in the darkness. They were beginning to understand. The turning point came during my junior year. I'd been accepted to a prestigious summer debate program across the country, full scholarship, 6 weeks away from home. I didn't tell them I'd applied, didn't mention it once. The acceptance letter came, and I calmly added it to my folder of achievements they knew nothing about. 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, I mentioned it at dinner. By the way, I'm leaving for a summer program in 2 weeks. I'll be gone for 6 weeks. My mother's fork clattered to her plate. What? What program? Debate intensive. It's in California. California? My father looked shocked. That's across the country. When did you apply for this? Months ago. And you didn't think to mention it? My mother asked, her voice rising. I mention lots of things, I said calmly. You don't always hear them. That's not fair, Helena. I need to be excused, I said, standing up. I have packing to plan. I left the table. Behind me, I could hear them arguing in hushed, frantic whispers. That night, my mother knocked on my door. Can we talk? Sure, I said, not looking up from my laptop. She sat on my bed. Helena, I feel like you're slipping away from us. You never talk to us anymore. You're never home. And now you're leaving for 6 weeks. Yes, I said simply. Don't you think that's something we should have discussed as a family? Why? It's my opportunity, my decision. I'm capable of handling it myself. But we're your parents. We should be involved in these decisions. I finally looked at her. Like you were involved when I won state championships, or when I got accepted to that leadership conference, or when I was nominated for that national award. You weren't involved in any of those things because you were too busy with Lily. She looked stricken. That's not... We've always... It's fine, Mum, I said, my voice gentle but firm. I learned to handle things on my own. You taught me that, and now I do. I don't want you to handle everything alone, she whispered. You're my daughter. Then maybe you should have remembered that sooner, I said quietly. She left my room in tears. I felt a small twist of guilt, but I pushed it down. This was necessary. They needed to understand. They needed to feel what I felt. The 2 weeks before I left were tense. My parents suddenly wanted to spend time with me, to talk, to be involved. But I remained polite and distant. Sorry, I have plans. Maybe another time. I'm really busy packing. The night before I left, they insisted on a family dinner. All of us together. I came, but I was quiet, polite but not engaging. We're going to miss you so much, my mother said, her eyes red. I'll be fine, I assured her. Will you call us? every day? My father asked. I'll call when I can, I said. But the program is pretty intensive. I'll be busy. You'll make time though, right? My mother's voice was pleading. Just to let us know you're okay. I'll try, I said non-committally. Lily, now 13 and perceptive, watched me with worried eyes. You're coming back, right? Of course, I said, softening slightly for her. This wasn't her fault. 6 weeks will go by fast. But I saw the fear in their eyes, the uncertainty, the realization that they couldn't control this, couldn't demand my attention, couldn't force me to care. I left the next morning. My father drove me to the airport, and the car ride was silent. At the departure gate, he hugged me tightly. I love you, Helena. Please, stay in touch. I love you too, Dad, I said. And I meant it, but I didn't promise anything else. The summer program was intense and amazing. I threw myself into it completely, making friends, winning competitions, building a life 3,000 miles away from my family. And I barely called them. The first few days I sent brief texts. Arrived safely, program is good. Then, nothing for 3 days. My phone exploded with messages. Mum. Helena, are you okay? Mum. Please call us, we're worried. Mum. It's been 3 days, just let us know you're alive. Dad. Your mother is very worried, please respond. Lily. Are you mad at us? I waited 4 days before responding. Sorry, been busy, I'm fine. Then I went silent again for 5 days. The messages became more desperate. Mum. Helena, this isn't funny. Call me right now. Mum. I'm calling the program director if I don't hear from you by tonight. Dad. We need to hear your voice. Please. I called that night. It was late for them, almost midnight their time. My mother answered on the first ring. Helena? Oh my God, Helena, are you all right? I'm fine, Mum. Why? Why? We haven't heard from you in over a week. We've been worried sick. Has it been a week? Sorry, I've been really busy with the program. Too busy to send a text? Too busy to let your parents know you're alive? I was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, now you know how it feels. Silence on the other end. What? She whispered. To wait for a call that doesn't come. To worry about someone who's too busy to remember you exist. To feel forgotten. Helena, I have to go, Mum. There's an evening session starting soon. I'll try to call again next week. Wait, don't. I hung up. I turned my phone off and sat in the darkness of my dorm room, feeling the weight of what I'd done. It hurt. Even with all my anger, all my justification, it hurt to hurt them. But they needed to understand. They needed to feel what I'd felt for years. I kept my phone off for 2 days. When I finally turned it on, there were 37 missed calls, 23 voicemails, countless texts. Mum, please, baby, just answer. I'm begging you. Dad, we love you. Whatever we did, we're sorry. Just talk to us. Lily, I miss you. Are you ever coming home? Mum, I can't sleep. I just keep checking my phone, hoping you'll call. Please, please call. Dad, it's 3 a.m. Your mother is crying. She's been crying for 2 days. Please have mercy on us. Mum, I'm sorry for whatever I did. Whatever we did, I'm so sorry. Just let me hear your voice. I read through them all, sitting on my dorm bed, feeling my own tears fall. This was it. This was the reversal, the poetic justice. They were waiting for my call, staying up all night, phones in hand, desperate and helpless and scared, exactly like I'd waited for them, alone at those school gates, for hours in the cold, exactly like I'd felt when they'd forgotten me. over and over while I made myself smaller and smaller, trying not to be a burden. They finally understood. I picked up the phone and called. My mother answered before the first ring finished. "Helena?" Her voice was wrecked, hoarse from crying. "Hi, Mum." "Oh God, oh God, you're okay." She was sobbing now. "Are you okay? Are you safe? Please tell me you're safe." "I'm safe. I'm fine." "Why didn't you answer? Do you have any idea what we've been going through?" "Yes," I said quietly. "I do." There was a long pause. I could hear my father's voice in the background, urgent and worried. My mother put me on speaker. "Helena, what's going on?" my father asked. "Why are you doing this?" "Do you remember the night you forgot to pick me up from school?" I asked. Silence. "Which night?" my mother asked weakly. "Exactly," I said. "There were so many, you can't even remember which one. I waited for 4.5 hours that first time, in the cold, watching every other student get picked up, waiting for you to remember I existed." "Helena," my father started. "I waited all the time," I continued, my voice steady despite the tears streaming down my face. "I waited for you to come to my competitions. I waited for you to ask about my day. I waited for you to choose me just once over Lily's needs, and you never did." "That's not true," my mother protested. "We love you. We've always loved you." "Maybe," I said. "But you forgot me, over and over. You forgot to pick me up, forgot my competitions, forgot to ask about my life. I became invisible in my own family, and none of you even noticed." "We notice now," my father said, his voice breaking. "We notice every second you're gone. We notice every call that doesn't come. We notice, Helena. God, we notice." "Good," I whispered. "Now you know what it feels like." My mother was openly weeping now. "Please, come home. Please, we'll do better. We'll be better. Just come home." "I'm not coming home early, Mum. I have 4 more weeks here." "Then at least call us," she begged. "Every day, please. I can't go through another week like this. I can't." I closed my eyes. This was the moment. The choice. I could continue punishing them, making them suffer the way I'd suffered, or I could show mercy, accept that they finally understood, and begin rebuilding what had been broken. "I'll call," I said finally, "once a week, on Sundays for exactly 15 minutes. "Once a week?" My mother's voice rose in panic. That's not... "Once a week," I repeated firmly. "That's what I'm offering. Take it or leave it." "We'll take it," my father said quickly. "Sunday calls, 15 minutes, we'll take it." "And when I come home," I continued, "things are going to be different. You're going to see me, really see me. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when you remember, always." "Yes," my mother said immediately. "Yes, anything. Just please don't disappear on us like this again." "That depends on you," I said. "If you forget me again, I won't wait around to be remembered. I'll just be gone. Permanently." The threat hung in the air. "We understand," my father said quietly. "We understand, and we'll do better. I promise you, Helena, we'll do better." "I have to go," I said. "I'll call next Sunday at 2 p.m. your time. Be available." "We will," my mother said desperately. "We'll be here. We'll be waiting." "I know," I said softly. "That's the point." I hung up. For a long moment, I sat there in silence, phone in my hand, feeling the weight of everything that had just happened. They would wait for my call next Sunday. They would keep their phones close, watch the clock, count down the minutes. They would experience over and over the anxiety of waiting, the fear of being forgotten, and maybe, finally, they would understand. The next 4 weeks followed the same pattern. Every Sunday at 2 p.m, I called. For exactly 15 minutes, not a second longer. They waited for those calls like drowning people waiting for air. My mother told me later that they would sit together starting at 1:45. Phones on the table, all of them, Mum, Dad, and Lily, just waiting. Those 15 minutes are the longest and shortest of our week, she confessed. We wait all week for Sunday, and then it's over so fast, and we have to wait all over again. Now you know, I said simply. My father told me they'd started going to family therapy. The therapist asked us to talk about you, he said during one call, to describe you. And we realised we didn't know. We didn't know your favourite colour, your favourite book, what you wanted to study in college. We'd been so focused on Lily that we'd let you become a stranger. Yes, I said, you did. Lily cried during one call. I didn't, she sobbed. I didn't know you felt so alone. I didn't know they forgot about you. I was just a kid. I didn't understand. I know, Lily, I said, my voice gentler with her. This isn't your fault. It never was. Are you going to forgive them? She asked. Are you going to forgive us? I don't know yet, I said honestly. Maybe, if things really change. The 6 weeks finally ended. I flew home with mixed feelings. Triumph that I'd made my point, anxiety about what came next, and underneath it all, a deep exhaustion from carrying so much pain. They were all waiting at the airport, all 3 of them. When I came through the arrival gate, my mother rushed forward and hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. You're home. You're really home. My father joined the embrace. Even Lily wrapped her arms around all of us. We stood there in the middle of the airport, a family reunited, and I let myself cry. Really cry, for the first time in years. When we finally pulled apart, my mother was studying my face like she was memorizing it. We have so much to talk about, she said. Yes, I agreed. We do. The drive home was different. They asked about my summer, really asked, wanting details, listening to my answers. They told me about the therapy they'd started, the realizations they'd had, the changes they wanted to make. We created a family calendar, my father explained. Everyone's events are on it. Yours, Lily's, ours, all colour-coded, and we check it every single day. We're not going to forget you again, my mother said, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. We're going to show up. We're going to be present. We're going to be the parents you deserved all along. We'll see, I said quietly. And over the next months, they proved it. They came to every single one of my debate competitions. They asked about my day, every day, and actually listened to the answers. They scheduled one-on-one time with me, just like they did with Lily. They celebrated my achievements with the same enthusiasm they'd always shown for my sisters. Slowly, carefully, I let them back in. It wasn't perfect. There were slip-ups, moments when old patterns tried to reassert themselves. But now, when my mother started to say, "Oh, I forgot," she would catch herself, stop, and fix it immediately. Now, when they made plans, they checked with me first instead of assuming I'd accommodate. Now, when I walked into a room, they looked up. They saw me. They remembered I was there. Daniel tried to approach me again during senior year. By then, he'd given up on any romantic connection with Lily. She was too young, and even he wasn't that clueless. But he still hung around my family sometimes, and he tried to restart conversations with me. "Helena, hey, I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. Want to grab coffee sometime?" "No, thank you," I said pleasantly. "I'm not interested." "Come on, just as friends." I said no. My voice was firm. I'm not interested in being friends with someone who only notices me when it's convenient. He backed off after that. I did eventually start dating someone, a boy named Adrian from the debate team. He was quiet, thoughtful, and he saw me from the beginning. Not because of my family, not because of my sister, but because of me. Our first date, he asked me about my dreams, my fears, my thoughts on everything from debate strategy to the meaning of life. He listened to every word. "You're really interesting," he said at the end of the night. "You're the first person who's ever said that," I replied. "Their loss," he said simply. Graduation came. I was valedictorian. My family sat in the front row, all of them, beaming with pride. When I gave my speech, I talked about being seen, about the importance of remembering the people you love, about second chances. My mother cried through the whole thing. Afterward, at the celebration dinner, my father stood up to make a toast. "To Helena," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We taught us the hardest lesson we've ever had to learn, who made us understand what it means to be forgotten, and who gave us the chance to do better. You're an extraordinary person, and we're so grateful you're ours. We'll never forget that again." "Never," my mother echoed, raising her glass. "Never," Lily agreed. I raised my glass to meet theirs, feeling something in my chest finally, truly begin to heal. That night, lying in bed in my childhood room, I thought about the girl I'd been in my first life, the one who died alone in the rain, waiting for people who'd forgotten her. She'd given me this gift, this second chance. She'd suffered so I could be strong. She'd died so I could live differently. And I'd used that gift wisely. I'd made them wait. I'd made them understand. I'd made them choose me, really choose me, not because I was easy to love, but because I demanded to be loved properly. My phone buzzed, a text from Adrian. "Can't wait to start this next chapter with you. Love you." I smiled and replied, "Love you too." Another text came in, this one from my mother. "Are you awake? Just wanted to say goodnight and that I love you and that I'm so proud of you. Sleep well, sweetheart." I stared at that message for a long moment. In my first life, she'd never sent texts like that. Never thought to check in, to say goodnight, to remind me I was loved. But now she did, because she'd waited for my calls, because she'd felt the terror of not knowing, the helplessness of being forgotten, because she'd learned, finally, what it meant to lose me. "Good night, Mum," I typed back. "I love you too." I turned off my light and closed my eyes, feeling at peace for the first time in 2 lifetimes. They'd forgotten to pick me up from school in my first life, over and over, until I died waiting for them to remember I existed. After my rebirth, I made them wait all night for my calls. I made them understand. I made them suffer the same fear, the same helplessness, the same pain. And in doing so, I'd finally made them see me. The cycle was complete. The karmic reversal was done. And I, Helena, the girl who'd once been invisible, was finally, undeniably, unforgettably seen.